How we doing? Wonderful.
Calvin Watkins, Dallas Morning News. Tyler Guyton is such a young player. He's had to battle through some injuries. And you always talk about young guys need the reps. How much is he missing just not playing right now?
I mean, yeah, he's missing opportunities to move forward, and like one of the things that hits your brain as a coach toward the end of the season is like, I can't wait to cut all this tape up in the off season and put a project together to help this guy get better. And obviously, the more of that there is, the easier that is to do. So he can't do anything about it. He's doing everything he can. But yeah, opportunities are huge.
He played so far this year.
Up and down, but I felt like it was trending upwards when he got injured, and was really the biggest thing for him is is consistency, because there's good plays, and then there's a bad play, and then comes back and bounces back and has good plays, and then there's a bad play. So I felt like the consistency was improving, and we were hoping to see more of that towards the end of the year. We'll see where it goes, whether he's able to come back or whatever.
Clayton Adams with ESPN. With Pickens' production the last 2 weeks has been down. Forget the noise from the Lions game. What can you guys do to, you say, hey, look, it's double coverage, it's cover two, all that kind of stuff. What can you guys do to kind of force the defense's hand to open things more things up for him?
Just do a better job of penalizing them for the opportunities that they're giving us elsewhere. And so, like last week, one of the things that we were able to do was execute a little bit better in their run game. Those are some of the opportunities that you're given when you run to his side. If they're going to cloud over there, is that they're going to be -1 in a gap. So just being able to cash in bigger. When somebody does something like that and they're creating an opportunity for you, you'd like to say, like, oh, we hit like a 60-yard run and they got out of it. We weren't able to do that. Or you're able to, hit an explosive to Flow or to CD. I mean, to me, that's always the answer, and that's why you have a couple of those guys, is if you're going to double one of them, you got to be able to make them pay big enough to get them out of it in another area.
And then, obviously, Ferguson has his catches and touchdowns, but what are your thoughts on Schoonmaker and Spanford and what they've been able to do, just maybe that whole tight end room together?
Yeah, I thought that the tight end room has had a nice year. And, immediately my mind is always on what they do in the run game. And I think that the entire room really has taken big steps forward, and L-Dub's done a really nice job of developing that room. I think it was good, for everybody to see Scooney, kind of make an explosive play last week when he was able to get the ball in his hands. But I've seen Brev do that stuff too. I mean, I forget which game it was, maybe the end of the Chicago game. He had an opportunity in the pass game. So it's a good room. I know, I think as they continue to get more opportunities in the pass game, that'll become – to me, that's always kind of the window that everybody views the tight ends through, is receptions and things like that. But when you're looking at it from my perspective, there's been a lot of growth in the run game too.
What did you think of the song that Ferguson put together on the
Oh, that was terrible. I think it was maybe AI generated. Well, then good. Then I'm not harassing anybody by saying it was not very good. But yeah, no, I loved it, and I knew that something was coming because there was kind of a weird intro, and Ferg had this look on his face like, just wait till you guys hear this. It was terrible. Yeah, it was terrible, and I loved every second of it.
Nick Harris, Fort Star Telegram. Flus just told us that he's going to be in the booth for this next game. From your perspective so far this season, what have been the benefits for that for you, and specifically the benefits in this outfit with the Cowboys being up in the booth?
For me, with the role that I have, which is obviously different than his because he's the play caller, it's provided an opportunity to kind of have a space and be able to look at things from not just higher up, which you can see a few things from higher up, but to be able to collect my thoughts and notes and really give Shadi the feedback that I want to be able to give him in a super organized and, I guess in some ways, less chaotic space. And so, there's been times where in between series I've taken my headset off for a second and, all right, I really need to collect my thoughts here because we're struggling in this area and I need to find the answers. Or, hey, we're really killing them here. How can we add a couple of things to this package? It's provided me with a little bit less chaotic and a little bit quieter space. On the sideline you get a lot of feedback from players, which can be good, but you don't really have a space to write. Sometimes you get caught up in the emotions of the game. So those are the things that, as I go through my first season doing this, that I've been able to kind of contrast.
Obviously, you need guys on the sideline that you can trust in certain areas. Who have those guys been for you, and how do you see that translating on the defensive side as well?
I try to use all of them. I ask Connor's opinion almost every series. I ask L-Dub's opinion almost every series. I'm asking Derek's opinion, because the part of being on the sideline that I do miss is knowing immediately when those guys are running off, even if they're telling you, like, hey, yeah, we can run the ball, or no, freaking run the ball. There's a total difference in being able to read those guys, and so that's what I'm trying to get from those the position coaches more often than not, is get a read and a feel for that. Because if L-Dub's telling me, yeah, these guys are saying, like, run that again, or same thing with the offensive line, I want to know that.
Joe Hoyt, Dallas Morning News. One more Booth question. How has it helped you in terms of maybe making in-game adjustments, in terms of, hey, I'm seeing this from a 30,000-foot view, I can now know where we have to go?
I hate to say it because I like being on the sideline, but it's been a lot easier. Just because it's calmer, and you're not getting, again, like sometimes on the sideline you're getting a ton of feedback from the players, and sometimes it's like, okay, dude, I hear what you're saying. I'm not getting a lot of that up there, and so just being able to kind of peacefully go through each of those pictures, I don't always have time to do that on the sideline. And I guess, my experience on the sideline is jaded a little bit by the sense that when I've been down there, I've been coaching a position. And so you're trying to get through pictures, and you're trying to talk to the players, and you're trying to give recommendations. I haven't had to do that. So I've been able to really patiently go through the pictures and kind of collect my thoughts, and I think that that's been helpful.
And then lost Javonte earlier, obviously came back, and then Lipke goes out with the concussion. Just how did that go in terms of trying to juggle what you did from there? And does that maybe make you guys think of adding another running back on game day, or how did that go?
Well, in regards to adding another running back on game day, those are team decisions, so they don't necessarily always fall to me. But those things are tough, man. And in the Detroit game, we had the same situation with receivers, and because when you're looking at 47 or 48 on game day, you're pretty specific with your personnels, and so we got out of halftime, and there was like 5 of the next runs I wanted to get to were going to involve Hunter somehow, and so, okay, all right, well, I better get on the phone with L-Dub, and now we're figuring out how we can manipulate these, which ones are worth putting somebody else in on, which ones do we need to put on the sideline until we figure out what's going on with Hunter. So, yeah, those can be kind of spicy situations, especially because we went into halftime not really knowing, and then I'm on my way back up to the box, and they're like, hey, by the way, Hunter's down. So, yeah, you got to try to get those done fast because we hit the ball, and you want to be able to give the head coach, like, hey, you can't call this, because he's in a total different headspace, just trying to be organized with his thoughts. So those are chaotic situations. Those are good ones to go through as a coach and come out the other side of, because I think the more you do it, the more confidence you have to be able to manipulate those situations.
Tommy Arsh, DallasCowboys.com. With the red zone offense, do you feel like that's one of those things where you get better at it just by having success, or do you feel like there is something that maybe you can adjust or tweak to have more success when you get inside this play?
I think when I go back and I look at what we've done in the red zone, which I've done a couple of times now, because it's one of the areas that sticks out, is so we need to improve a little bit down there. I think really, first and foremost, I actually thought we were pretty good in the red zone on Sunday, and we had a couple of, the statistics got manipulated a little bit because there was a 4th down, I think, that dipped inside the 20, and then there was another play, I think, that dipped inside the 20. We had one drive where we weren't able to, really didn't achieve our goal. But I think that as a staff, and you've got different guys that are responsible for different areas, and figuring out what you do good, which down there sometimes is different than it is on third down or different than it is on normal down and distance, and then figuring out what is the play caller really comfortable with. Sometimes that can take a minute. And then, I think the play caller always being introspective and saying, what can I do better and things like that. I do think that we went into this last game with a little bit more of a unique approach in the red zone, and I thought that it worked for us. We were pretty patient. We ended up having a short yardage situation there on the 2, which is unique. You got to get 1 yard on the 2, and then you get a new set of downs, and then we were able to score on the next drive. I thought we were a little bit more patient with the runs, which I think takes pressure off you down there when you're able to run it. So there were some good things. Obviously, our standard for what we want to do on offense is, we want to look at that. Not that we're stat guys, but when you get the report from around the league, you want all those things to be green. You want to be in the top 3 or top 5 in each of those areas. That's not one of the ones that we are. So we're going to continue to get better at it, but I did think we took a step forward in that area.
And then you mentioned the run game earlier. How do you feel like it took a step in the right direction last week? What allowed you to be more efficient against Minnesota versus maybe some previous weeks?
I felt kind of comfort, like a feeling of comfort going in that game, just knowing that I had been in some of these situations against their coordinator before. I'm not going to be surprised by anything. Like, this guy's going to do all sorts of different things on game day. So I've got plan A, plan B, plan C, and we had to adjust because they played totally differently than what we saw on tape, and we were able to adjust and kind of gain some traction, I think, after our third or fourth run, when we figured out, all right, this is what today's going to look like run fit wise. And then I think, just in general, when you're bringing this stuff up to the play caller, like, hey, here's where I think we should go on the next series, he's going to feel a lot better when one of those. I always feel like if you can hit an explosive run in your first 5 attempts, you're going to have a pretty good day running the ball because the play caller is going to feel better about it. The players are going to feel a little bit better about it. There's going to be some confidence that's bred. And so I forget exactly what attempt it was, but we hit one somewhere in those first 10, and things that felt a little bit more comfortable after that.
Garrett Podell, CBS Sports. Clayton, what are your thoughts on how Terrence Steele's played this year? His quarterback pressure numbers are up there in the league.
Yeah, I think there's areas that obviously that Terrence is very, very good at. There's some areas, like known pass in this league for offensive tackles. I don't know that there's a whole bunch of dudes that are just out there going, yeah, when it's known pass and they know that we're throwing it and I know that we're throwing it, that I'm just going to lock it down every play. Having said that, obviously that's an area that's been a little bit of a weakness for him, so it's one that we got to continue to work on. I do think he's taken a step forward there. But, yeah, I think when we're throwing the ball and they know that we're throwing the ball, those are tough downs for T. Steele. So we got to continue to take the small margins that at this point in his career you're going to be able to make. And then, the other side of it is the stuff that he does good is not newsworthy. It's like, I don't know that anybody's sitting there on Sunday night after the game going, man, you see that B block on the inside zone? T. Steele's pretty good at those. He does that. And so he has a lot of value. And I do think that there's still margins that he can improve in true drop back pass situations. I think if you're probably I don't really pay a whole bunch of attention to some of the analytics. I know that there's value to them, right? I know that. But I think if you were to really break those down, probably the guys that are excelling the most in that analytical situation are guys that are put in the situation the least. And so, that's where you look at, I'll just use rushing yards for an example. If you're evaluating that, you need to evaluate attempts, right? Because if you're just looking at total yards, that's, it's a whole different conversation than what's your efficiency look like. Same type of thing for a tackle is if you're in that situation a lot because you're in drop back pass a lot, you're going to lose some of those. So long answer for, yeah, we need to keep getting better, but I do think that he has a ton of value.
And where have you seen Nate Thomas grow over the course of this year, filling in for Tyler Guyton at left tackle, also playing in other spots?
Nate's usage of his hands when he's playing well is probably where he's grown the most. He is, in my opinion, right now kind of caught in that mode of, all right, I'm playing every week, and so how do I get myself to cover up some of the mistakes that I made last week? And so much of that is a maturity and a confidence thing, and those are also areas that he's like growing leaps and bounds because it's early in his career and these are the first times that he's really doing it. I think looking at him when you watch him and evaluate him, I mean he's playing his rookie season right now. Because I don't know that he played at all last year. Does anybody know? And so, it's like a redshirt year and then a freshman year. And so he's another one of those guys that you look at and you go, man, I can't wait to make, a project this off season and sit down and watch it all with him and watch the same things back to back to back to back. And, I think he'll grow a ton when we're able to do that.
We'll finish up with Christy.
Christy Scales, Cowboys Radio 105.3 The Fan. Is Derwin James not only one of the most versatile but effective guys you've gone against this year? What are some ways that mentor uses him that are particularly challenging?
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he's an outstanding player. I actually think my first game coaching in the NFL was against the Chargers, and I had been coaching in college football for a long time, so I wasn't super up on who some of these guys were. But I do remember walking past him in pregame and going like, I thought their defensive end was Bosa over there. He is physically impressive. He can run. He's long. He's instinctive. And I think that they've done a really good job of allowing him to play closer to the line of scrimmage. Not that he doesn't have the range to play out there. It's just when he's around the line of scrimmage, he's closer to the ball, and when he's closer to the ball, he's a problem.